Hello everybody and welcome to a 6.3.4 PTS patch notes for March 8th. March 8th isn't what's going on, this is when it goes live. So this is the PTS patch notes, and so they say is our final PTS patch before launching on March 8th, which is 2 weeks away, and March 16th for consoles. We've adjusted character champion templates for all 3,600 champion points to aid in further testing of the new system, along with making additional fixes to the champion system dungeons, the Blackwood prologue quest, and more. The size of this final patch is approximately 121 megabytes. We appreciate your feedback that you provided the past few weeks. So this is the final PTS patch notes before it goes live. Yeah, guys, I told you, nothing was going to change with this new system by much. So, I figured they would have done the red tree, but hey, whatever. So it says here, template stuff, they adjusted the max level to 3,600. Black Villa general changes. The pledge quest will now correctly direct you to where to go after Captain Genimus. Updated several damage effects throughout the dungeon to correctly categorize as area of effect damage and others to be damage over time. Captain Genimus will no longer endlessly channel her flames ability while invulnerable on normal difficulty. The second attack of FoA will correctly applies damage to all targets within range. And the Proto-Turge interest, whatever, will now use his Heartfire Spear if he is not occupied and there is no targets available outside of the pit. The Cauldron general changes. Your character will no longer be locked into Exalted Summit if you enter while your pets are fighting molten pillars. The Curtain of Fire achievement now correctly states how it is granted. And updated Lyranith's cold fire damage effect to be correctly categorized as area of effect damage. Excuse me. Oxblood the Depraved, deviant consumption can no longer be dodged. Okay. Greymore, Kind Sage's Trial, Lord Falgraven, whatever, prisoners can no longer be affected by player abilities. Yeah. Okay, combat and gameplay changes. Destruction Staff fixed an issue, performance issue in the Stable Wall of Frostmorph. Dual-Wield Flurry fixed an issue where this ability and its morphs were inheriting Thaumaturgy's damage bonus. Okay, they aren't supposed to, but... Heavy Armor Unstoppable fixed an issue where this ability and its morphs did not properly grant immunity to crowd control. And Sigic Order Time Stop Borrowed Time fixed the issue where this ability's visuals lasted longer than the debuff. Champion System fixed an issue where some champion stars were displaying their tooltips in incorrect units. Champion star tooltips no longer display their raw parameterized string. Updated the visuals for slotted stars to make it more obvious when something is currently slotted on your champion bar. Re-implemented the confirmation of animation that plays after purchasing or changing point allocation in champion stars. Fixed an issue that could cause stars to become stuck while continually adding or removing points. And meticulous disassembly. The one thing that they did not have fixed this whole time is supposedly finally fixed. So, fixed an issue where the word working portion of this passive was the only one to work and would break if you spent any points and would extraction passive. Obtaining this passive will now properly scale with each rank of the respective craft trees and allow you to exceed the normal CP or normal cap or of improved chances with each. Note that there is no chance associated in the tooltip with the passives, as the chance is not a static value and is dependent upon your passive level of the other extraction passive, in addition to varying chances per material type, temper, style, material, etc. Okay, this is funny. They say there's no attribute attached to this. It's a stat attribute value that you have to put in the system that is there, but we don't see it. So it is a stat system. It's just a flat value stat that we get per point we put into the passive, but we don't know what it is because they haven't told us. So if this increases that chance by a greater chance, you're effectively raising that stat variant without us knowing about it. So no matter how they put this, it is a stat variant that is being changed. I still think meticulous disassembly shouldn't be in there in the first place. Not unless you're changing the whole crafting system to begin with. It's stupid. Increasing people's chance to get higher resources when they already get it. It's dumb. Okay, base game changes, not much. Quest lines, that's for the Blackwood Prologue. And that's it. That's the extent of the final patch, guys. Nothing. Fixes. That's it. So, for all the whiners out there, I need 3,600 champion points to test the system thoroughly. You got what you wanted. Personally, I could have went either way with that. And feel like the 3,600 point check wasn't necessary. The new for testing the new system, whatever. The rest of it, I have told people countless times, no matter what you say, if you want something to go your way, it's not going to. The devs have the final decision. They made their choice on what they wanted the system to do and set it in stone. We were to test to make sure it worked the way they intended it to. They wanted to see how we would take advantage of it. And we showed them. We showed them exactly what we would do. And they said, nope, not going to allow them to be super gods. We're going to tone it down a little bit more. They did that. Because they already have the set values necessary to complete the content on normal, veteran, hard mode. Our characters were exceeding those values, and that was proven countless times by min-maxers that their system was broken. They adjusted it, and the min-maxers have still proven that this fix didn't change much. It didn't change the damage values by as much as they wanted. Yes, it lowered the DPS, but not by 30-40%. It lowered our DPS by about 10 to 15%. And if you know your rotations really well and you have a good quality build, you're still going to be pulling high numbers. There's already people that have proven this on the PTS. There's people already pulling 100k. So it's not like this is broken. Okay? And those who wanted the 3,600 champion points was basically so they could test how you would maximize your character with 3,600 champion points and basically have access to everything you could possibly need. That was the big complaint everyone had. You can look at the champion point system and see that where you will get to eventually. But giving everybody this free access to the 3,600 points, I think it's more or less for the builders who release builds, so they can release the builds with 3,600 points and say, go strive for this. And that's it. Because a lot of people are going to leave the champion points in their build videos. I, myself, am not going to waste my time. I'm going to make build video or champion point videos saying this is where you're going to want to place your builds for tank, DPS, and a healer. Instead of saying, oh, there's all these variations, saying these are the ones you're going to want to use for a healer, these are the ones you're going to want to use for a tank, these are the ones you're going to use for DPS. Like, that's how it's literally designed that way. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. That's how they design the CP system to work. So even with 3,600 points, you're still only going to be able to slot 4 stars. Yes, you'll be able to change those out a lot easier with 3,600 points, but that's it. It's not going to make your character some sort of god. You're going to have higher stats. You're going to have higher whatever the passives are that you get innately for putting points into them, but that's it. Like, all the other stars that need to be slotted are the primary stars most people are looking at. So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way. I like the new champion point system. I don't think it's perfect, because it does lock you into specific role systems, which is the direction I said they shouldn't take the game, and they did. If you want this game to be a play how you want kind of structure, you need to get away from the restricted role system. And it's the problem a lot of MMOs have today, is they stick to the role system. You're a tank, you're a healer, you're a DPS. The only MMO that does still to this day does not follow that rule is Guild Wars 2. And anyone who says otherwise has never played Guild Wars 2 to its full potential. Has only played it for the in-game aspects of doing the hardcore stuff. And hasn't played the game outside of that for very long. Because when you play outside of that and you're actually doing the content of the game, you know that your character, even as a support character, has its place in the world. When you play your character as a damage character, they have their place in the world. If you play yourself as a controller, you have your place in the world. And that's how that game was designed to be played. Damage, control, support. They still have 3 roles. It's just those 3 roles are way different than what we have here. I mean, you could say control's a tank, damage is damage dealer, and support is healer, but it doesn't work that way. Because support doesn't do just support. They do damage, control, and support. They're just designed to work better with support. Where controllers are designed to work better with control, but still do damage and support. And just like with the damage dealers, they're built to do damage, but do control and support as well. And even though our characters in this game are built the same way, similar, defining our roles into the 3, tank, healer, damage dealer, is what ruins a lot of these games for a majority of players. Because you really can't kind of define, like, you got to really define your character into a role, not into the character you want to be. Do I want to be this protective warrior, or do I want to be a tank? Like, and I feel like the champion system does a really bad job with that, with the blue tree. I think the blue tree is the biggest bug in the system, because it makes you focus your roles. Where the other 2 trees is more like focusing your playstyle. If the blue tree focused your playstyle more than focused you into specific roles, it would be better. And don't give me this choice thing, because you're going to choose to be damage dealer, tank, or healer, and that's it. You're not going to choose to be a damage dealer, a support, you're not going to choose to be anything but one of those three things. So you're still stuck with that idea. And the variations with choice there are still really high, but it's still, again, one of those things that limits your character's options of play when it comes to the full game experience. Because no matter what, if I were to create a character that could do a little bit of like really good single target heals, really good single target DPS, and that was its design, I wouldn't be in a trial group. Okay? No trial group that's in it for doing trials would allow me in there. Now, my type of trial group would allow that kind of character in there, and we would still be clearing the content, but we wouldn't be doing it with a speed run or with the score run. And that's what people, these progressive types, and I say progressive types, but the trial progression groups are all about the most optimized build concept. So I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to give people choices and options and ways to play, but really it just limits the ability to play how you want. Any system that makes you have to make choices limits your ability to play. And the amount of choices that this limits you to really does affect the way you play in a dramatic way. So it's I don't know. It's just my opinion. I mean, everyone has their own thoughts and opinions on this stuff, and I just feel like this is a step in the wrong direction for the game, especially at max. Like, if you spend all that time working on getting your character to max CP, the options for what your character can do and would be allowed to do at any time, not without having to go into a system to change how you play, would be unlimited. Like, there would be no restriction. Your character would be a tank, a healer, and a damage dealer, and would be able to do any role based on the skills they equip on their bar, not on the CP and the way they have them set up. So I do feel like this is going to be... I'm not going to say this is like an NGA or the thing that broke the camel's back, or this is game-defining, killing the game. No, it's making it stupid simple. That's all it does. It simplifies how the game works to such a degree that there is gonna be no way that you're gonna choose the wrong setup for your character. And literally that's what the champion system blue tree does. And it's only the blue tree. The red tree doesn't have any required, you gotta take these specific ones. You're gonna take what best suits your character in the different situations. Where people will say, well, Rolls does the same thing. No, it doesn't. If I want my character to be just as tanky as well as defensive, or offensive and defensive at the same time, it limits my choices too much to either being tanky or damage dealing. I don't get a choice. I choose one role over the other, tank or damage dealer. If I want my character to have some supportive capabilities where I can do better heals and everything, I don't get a choice. I either heal or I DPS. Because even though I would have 3,600 points, I still have to determine where I slot the force active things. And the way they have it set up now, you're going to put into, as the tank, the things that mitigate the most damage. You're going to put in as a healer the things that heal the group the best way. And when you talk about DPS, you're going to take what does the greatest damage. Now, you might be swapping stars out depending on what situation you're in, but it's basically just to change the way your character plays from what role to what role. Like a healer would switch out from healing to damage dealing when they're not in a group, because they're going to be doing stuff that isn't group related. They're more, solo activities. Having that higher damage is going to be better for them than the higher healing, because they're not in a group. So that's where your CP changes would come into play. But when you're in group activities, it's very specific. And I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than like World of Warcraft system, or even, Star Wars The Old Republic's skill tree system. But it still does the same thing. It limits your options to specifics of role. Like, you're going to be a damage dealer, you're going to go with these ones. If you're going to be a healer, you're going to go with these ones. You're going to slot these 4 specifics. Where again, when it comes to the red tree, there's a lot of different options in there that are literally limitless. And the same thing goes with the blue tree or the green tree. There's a lot of different options in there for whatever you want to do. There's options in there if you're going Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood, but I'm saying the other options are there if you want them to be there. Like, oh, hey, we're going through this trial. I want to try my chances at getting better stuff from the treasure chest, which might give me an easier time of reaching my goal of what sets I'm trying to get. And I'm going to get a lot more gold and everything else. So that's the way I'm going to go. Those are the CP setup I'm going to go with. So there is going to be choices with the red and green, but the blue there really isn't. It's determined by role. And I think that that's the system that really kind of doesn't break the camel's back. It limits your options. It limits your options to tank, healer, damage dealer, and not, hey, I want to be tanky with damage and support, or I want some support and some tankiness. Like, you don't get those choices like we used to. And I think that's, again, where it limits the options in playability. So, yeah, it's a cool system. I like it for what it does. And I'm not saying that I think the system's horrible. I think the blue tree's bad because of the limitations. It's still a more simplified system than the old system was to figure out, because you pretty much determinate what's needed to play your role is determined for you. And it's really simple that way with the blue tree. The red and green, people will be a little discombobulated with, because it's one of those things that they're going to be confused. Like, what do I put into when I'm doing a trial? What do I put into when I'm doing overland, or I'm doing PvP? Like, what's going to be the better options? And that's where the choices, the idea of choice comes from. But the blue tree, there is no choice. And that's what I'm saying. You either build for damage, you build for tankiness, you build for healing. End of story. But that's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For this being the final PTS patch before it goes live on the 8th, which, by the way, is 2 weeks away. So we're not getting another patch next week on the 1st. And then when it goes live on the 16th for consoles, because they have to, everything for consoles goes live on Tuesday, they have to wait until that day. So, and just to let you guys know, I did do some math already, looking at the June release of when the chapter will be coming out. It's either going to come out the 7th or the 14th, those 2 days. Okay, with the 7th being the release on PC, And supposedly, well, it wouldn't be on PC. On consoles and stuff would be the 8th, sorry. And on PC and stuff will be the 17th of May. So, that's what we're looking at, somewhere in there. So expect the next PTS cycle to start around the 12th of April or the 19th. And how do I know that? Because it's simple deduction. That's all it is. They have the same release schedule every year, the same cadence. They try to catch people like me off guard with their releases, but like they did with this one. But I already guessed it was coming when they announced that they're going to do a live stream. And the fact that they gave us an extra week of PTS without any changes was basically their idea of saying, okay, we'll get people on there. They'll start doing all the work, doing all the testing, find out that there's not much changing besides the crit value. That's literally the most like changing thing is crit and crit chance. Or crit chance and crit damage. Other than that, there isn't much changing with this system. When it comes to damage, when it comes to healing, when it comes to tanking, not much is going to change. It's still going to work the same way. But again, like I said, that's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you guys know what's coming next. Go ahead and hit that like button if you guys like this video. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. And if you do subscribe, I do suggest hitting that notification bell to be notified when I post new videos. I will be doing builds here soon. Probably starting maybe next week. And I say that with a but in there. If you guys are interested, I might be releasing builds next week, but it depends on how my schedule looks. I will be doing some PTS feedback with the 3,600 points starting tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. actually in the evening, Mountain Time. So that would be like 7 o'clock West Coast, and it would be like 10 o'clock East Coast, or 11 o'clock East Coast time. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me with this video. So, as always, want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.